In the passage before us, the reference is to Ezekiel 36:17 through 20, where it is evident that the Jews, by the greatness and the number of their sins, had given occasion to the Gentiles to insult and blaspheme the holy name of God, which is precisely the meaning of the apostle. The Gentiles, as the prophet here relates, seized on two pretexts to insult the name of God, the one drawn from the afflictions which the sins of his people had brought upon them, and the other from the contemplation of the sins themselves. According to the first, they accused the God of Israel of weakness and want of power, since he had not saved his people from so miserable a dispersion. According to the second, they imputed to the religion and the God of the Israelites all the crimes which they saw that people commit, as if it had been by the influence of God himself that they were committed. It is on account of these two arrogant and malignant accusations that God reproaches his people for having profaned his name among the nations, and adds, not for the sake of his people, who had rendered themselves altogether unworthy, but for that of his own name, two promises opposed to those two accusations, the one of deliverance, the one of sanctification. For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. Ezekiel 36:24-25. I will deliver you in order to repel their insult on me in accusing me of want of power. I will cleanse you in order to vindicate myself from the accusation of being the author of your crimes. God had no need of either of these ways of justifying himself. He had shown on numerous occasions the irresistible power of his arm in favor of the Israelites, and the sanctity of his law was self-evident. Yet he promises to do these things for his own glory, inasmuch as the Gentiles and his people had dishonored his name. No accusation against the Jews could be more forcible than that which, in the verse before us, was preferred from the testimony of their own Scriptures. It proved that not only were they chargeable before God with their own sins, but that they were likewise chargeable with the sins which the Gentiles committed in blaspheming his name. This showed clearly that they were no more prepared to sustain the judgment of the strict justice of God than were the Gentiles, whom they were as ready to condemn as the apostle himself was. Verse 25, For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. Paul here pursues the Jew into his last retreat, in which he imagined himself most secure. He presses him on the subject of circumcision, which the Jews viewed as their stronghold, that rite even more ancient than Moses, and by which they were distinguished from the other nations. The sum of this and the following verses to the end of the chapter is that the Jews, being such as the apostle had represented them, all their advantages, including circumcision, could only enhance their condemnation before the tribunal of God, and that, on the contrary, if the Gentiles who have not received the law observed its precepts, they would be justified without circumcision. Two things are here to be observed, namely, what is asserted of the Jews and Gentiles, and the proof that follows. The assertions are that circumcision serves only as a ground of condemnation to transgressors of the law, and on the other hand, that the want of it would be no detriment to those who fulfilled the law. The proof is that before God, the true Jew and the true circumcision consist not in external qualities, but in internal and real holiness. The reason why circumcision was not included in the enumeration before given of the advantages of the Jews is that in itself it is not an advantage, but only a sign of other advantages, and it is mentioned here because in the character of a sign it includes them. To name circumcision, then, is to refer to them all. In this verse, the apostle does not speak of circumcision according to its real and most important signification, as he does in the two concluding verses, but in that view in which the Jews themselves considered it, as the initiatory and distinctive rite of their religion, without the observance of which they believed they could not be saved.